So progressive filmmaker Michael Moore went on Fox News for an interview, and he talked about the 2024 election, and he has a prediction that it's not even going to be close. He thinks that Kamala Harris is going to run away with it as the winner, and he gave some of his reasoning. Let's go over it here. So he says, Democrats, quote, are such a frightened group of people. I mean, they still think that Trump is going to win. This is kind of shocking to me. Like, don't you live with people? Are you not aware that there is going to be a tsunami of women voting between now and Election Day? They were told 2.5 years ago that they no longer control their own bodies. They no longer have a say. If they get pregnant, an unplanned pregnancy, the law now is that in many of our states that you have to have that baby. If we have to do whatever we have to do, sort of a legal version of strapping you down to the table until you birth that baby, that's Soviet. That's the law of the land now. For anyone who believes women will just, quote, tolerate being treated that way, he added, do you not know any women? Do you not live with a woman? Is there a next door neighbor? Is there somebody you could just go ask them? So what do you think about my gender here? My gender. Nobody can tell you what to do with my body. And maybe some people should. I'm just saying, but seriously. Moore also predicted that we're going to have one of the largest turnouts ever. Quote, I don't think that many people are going to stay home. I certainly hope not, because of everything that's at stake. Well, I have to say, I see where he's coming from here. I don't know if I agree with the conclusion that it's not even going to be close. I think that no matter who wins, they will not get over 400 electoral votes. Of course, you can come back and say that I was wrong on this video if I end up being wrong, but I just don't see it being a non-close election. Unfortunately for Harris and Biden, the Biden administration and Harris walls their ticket, the Israel policy continues to serve as a pretty big albatross around the Democratic Party. It continues to hurt them in the polls among Arab and Muslim voters. I've heard talk about certain states, Michigan, like this could be a big issue for them. Now, fortunately, Kamala Harris is not as closely associated with the Israel policy as Biden is, and so it hurts her less. She's also a lot younger, makes fewer gaffes, and is a lot more cognitively in shape than Biden is. So she's got the optics and she's got the less proximity to the Israel-Gaza policy. But yeah, we have to keep that in mind as a problem. We also have to keep in mind the increasing support for Trump. We do have to own up to that he's picking up some momentum, it seems. He's certainly looking better than he was in 2020, where he was the incumbent and the country was kind of falling apart, really, thanks to the pandemic. The economy was in very poor shape, mostly around the summer, but it hadn't gotten much better by the fall. So Trump's got his own albatross, but he's also got some momentum coming in. He's got the backing of Elon Musk, the wealthiest person in the world. He's got, I don't know, for what it's worth, former Democrats like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. backing him. I don't know how much sway they'll have, but Trump's not totally helpless in this election either. So Democrats, we have to be careful of this. We have to keep this in mind, and we cannot get too cocky. Now, yes, women and pro-choice people in general have been very motivated to go out and vote. We saw this in 2022, where the red wave did not materialize. It only materialized in the context of certain states, like Florida. Remember Ron DeSantis' big victory over Charlie Crist. So yes, the pro-choice movement is pretty powerful after 2022. It's pretty mobilized. They're showing up to vote like they never have before. This is the first presidential election that we have had since Roe versus Wade was overturned. So we will see how much it holds up. Obviously, we're now multiple years removed, so I don't know how much it would be fresh on voters' minds. It probably would still be pretty strongly fresh in their minds, but maybe not as much as it was in November of 2022, just 5 months after Roe versus Wade was overturned. Additionally, we do have to keep in mind that, Hillary Clinton was leading in the polls in 2016 pretty steadily over Trump. So if Kamala Harris is doing the same, that certainly does not mean that she's going to win with flying colors and that it won't even be close. Of course, I've talked about in some of my previous videos that the polls have gotten better at adjusting for the secret Trump vote, the people who, when polled, don't say that they're going to vote for Donald Trump. So the polls are probably more reliable. And in fact, if anything, they tend to underestimate Democrats. We saw a little bit of that in 2022 and some other special elections. But yeah, Democrats, do watch out. Do be careful. And if Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have another debate, Kamala Harris should still give it all that she's got, because even though she won very handily in the September 10th debate, there's still a lot that could happen. October surprises. Trump could come back with a vengeance and actually do really well in a debate. I won't rule that out. Tim Walz did not have as strong of a debate as a lot of progressives and people who are fans of his policies in Minnesota and his speaking ability thought that he could have had. So there's that. Vance came off less awkward and more forceful and confident than a lot of people imagined that he would. So yeah, do be careful with this election. For what it's worth, Michael Moore saying this is probably a good thing, because Michael Moore does tend to be pretty good at predicting. And in fact, he usually tends to side against the Democrats in his predictions, in the sense that he's like, Democrats, you're doing this all wrong. You're going to lose this election. He was very critical of Biden. He thought that Biden was going to lose. And now that Harris is here, he's singing a different tune, which does mean something. But yeah, we also have to be careful going forward. Don't necessarily need to fight like we're the underdog, but fight like it's still a race, because it still is. For all of his flaws, Trump still has a lot of momentum. I mean, he's been convicted. He's had some assassination attempts against him, which have reduced the frequency of his rallies. He's got some pretty clear cognitive decline going on. But yet there are still people who are like, yeah, I'm just going to vote for him because it feels right, because he gives me the right vibes. He's taking on the establishment, whatever that means. They don't really care that much about policy. Or if they do, they only pretend to. But yeah, Harris has run a good campaign so far, I think. I think she's done a good job not playing too heavily into identity politics, talking about how you need to vote for her because she's a woman or a person of color. I think that type of rhetoric can be alienating to normie American voters and independents, and she's not really engaging in it. She's just going forward confidently. She's talking more about policy and posted policies on her website. Tim Walz, of course, was a great pick too. I think he's going to help get a lot of disaffected leftists who traditionally struggle to get out and vote with his pro-union policies, free school meals, all that stuff. Really populist, really powerful, resonates with a lot of progressive voters who are to the left of the Democratic Party traditionally. So yeah, they could very well have this in the bag. I think Kamala Harris is the favorite right now, but that doesn't mean she's going to win. That sure does not. So yeah. Anyhow, those are just my thoughts on Michael Moore's prediction. I found it interesting. I hope that you found it interesting. As always, if you liked the video or found it insightful, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. I plan to do a lot more of this as this election goes forward. I love talking politics. I love talking horse race stuff. I love reviewing what the pundits say, what the politicians say too. So yeah, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next video.